Pseudo, Quasi, Semi and. I was wondering about the meaning of pseudo, quasi, semi and possibly other related prefixes, in general cases. Particularly, in engineering and science, there are quite a few terms named with these prefixes. For example, quasi-integrable, pseudo-Newton method, semi-group. But I never get to understand their differences in usage.
Pseudo comes from the Greek for false/lie and refers particularly to something not genuine. Quasi comes from the Latin for almost and refers to something that is almost something else. Semi is the Latin for half and refers to something that is half something else. In late usage, however, all three have been used to mean sort of.
As others have said, pseudo equals false, quasi equals almost, semi equals half. In engineering and science, these tend to have fairly technical meanings. That is, a pseudopod is something that looks like a foot but is not, semi-annually means twice a year, and I can't really think of an accepted repeatable term that begins with quasi. In mathematics, however, all bets are off. A semi-group is like a group and has fewer defining properties than a group, but in no way is it anything like half of a group. Similarly, a quasi-group. This is a general notice about mathematical terminology. The inventors of the terminology usually have some metaphor in mind when a technical term is chosen, but that metaphor hardly ever translates to anything meaningful.
Quasi, almost, pseudo, fake or impersonating, semi, half.
In civil engineering the term quasi-permanent is used for actions, loadings. It has more the meaning of equivalent than almost. In very simple words, we suppose that the action is permanent although its true nature is quite different. This in practice means that we load the structure with the equivalent of a permanent load. What permanent means in civil engineering context is another question.
If you want to support this channel, please consider subscribing.